Hey guys, it's Raven here. Today I have a 17th SS gameplay video for you. I'm playing the 17th SS on Point du Hoc. This is really one of my favorite maps in the beta, and it's because it offers so much that we haven't seen in Wargame or really on the rest of the Steel Division maps. You see the map is dominated by these hedgerows, basically, that tanks can't go through them, but they can be permeated by infantry. And there's just so many interesting places where infantry can go and tanks either can't, or they can't access that area easily. And there's just so much thought required to go into where you place your units and how you position them. And more than any other map, this one really shows off the line of sight tool that Eugen added to this game, and it's just really fun to play on. Okay, so like I said, I'm playing the 17th SS. I am going to link you to a video where me and my friend Lumpy discuss the 17th deck, and I highly encourage you to check it out for some of our thoughts on how to build the deck, its playstyle, and that sort of stuff. But right now, this is all going to be gameplay. It's mainly focused on my area of the map and my gameplay, but we'll see how it goes. I might speed things up because it is kind of a long game. And this is also interesting because I'm playing against the Scottish player, President Trump, and the Scots is kind of a hard matchup for the 17th, just because the 17th has a really rough Phase A, and they struggle against a lot of the things the Scots can bring in Phase A, and it's kind of an interesting matchup, but we'll see how it goes. Our team has 3 17th SS actually, and then a 12th Panzer over here. So you see right at the start, you kind of look at the opening deployments. The player Evil is here on the far right, and the player McMackey's here, or excuse me, far left. The player McMackey's on the far right. And that's kind of an interesting thing about this map is there's kind of 2 corridors on the flank. So one player kind of goes maybe from these trees up to the coast, so this area, and that's usually where an armored deck goes because it's kind of a little more open. And then there's also kind of this area on the right where you have this like main highway with the little kind of towns and stuff, and those 2 flanks are almost kind of isolated from the rest of the map by vertical cover. See right here? So a lot of times you'll find like one player goes on the far left, one player goes on the far right, and then the other 2 players kind of have to stretch across the entire middle of the map. So you have maybe 2 players in the middle covering 2/3 of the map, and then 1 player on either flank covering about 1/3 of the map between the 2 of them. And so that's kind of interesting because in the early game, I'm in the middle here on the middle right, and Lumpy's on the middle left. So we're both trying to like stretch out and meet each other and be as wide as we can, while the players on the flanks are really focused to try and win their fights. And the other team basically deploys the same way too. You see, in the area I go, it's kind of dominated by this town right here. I do get there first. I deploy a machine gun in the town, which has just a perfect sight line down the road to shoot at those infantry squads coming down. And that was actually really fortunate for me. This guy bunched his stuff up a little bit too much, so they just hit the ground, they're pinned. These guys will be pinned here in a minute, and his supporting units are kind of trudging along in the back, coming up. But I have a really good position on him, because like I said, I beat him to the town. And to his credit, I mean, he did stretch out a little bit further than I did, maybe, or put a lot more points in there. He's not as heavily invested in contesting this area, but because this little kind of square, like if you draw a square with your mouse like this area is probably the most intense portion of the region of the map I went to, and so it's really important that I capture this. See, I have my command vehicle going up. I'm trying to capture things, make them surrender. I almost got up the road and made all of that stuff surrender, but he had the 6-pounder here waiting for me. It's a pretty good position for him. It might have been better if he was, like, say, right here, where my cursor is. That way he could look up the road, shoot a little bit more. But anyways, he killed my command vehicle. Now I know he's there, and I can be a little more cautious with my Stug. Stug 3 is a 150 point assault gun. You can only start with one of them in Phase A as the 17th. But it's veterancy, so it's really important, and I want to be real careful with it. You see I'm using my IG-18. This is an infantry support gun to kind of fire down the road. Right now I'm trying to find that AT gun because I want to hit it with my IG-18. I'm going to do that here in a little bit, I think. But, let's see. Yeah, so, like I said, I went mainly here, but I have 3 units of Panzer Grenadier and a machine gun team kind of just stretched out over my flank. You see Lumpy just brought in an AT gun there to cover that long highway. There's usually kind of an opening here in the middle between the middle left and the middle right player. And we've done a good job kind of having a picket there and then filling it in. I think I mainly secured my zone. You see my IG-18 got sight of the anti-tank gun through this recon right here, the off-clar. Now I'm shooting at the anti-tank gun. It just took 3 hits and I killed it. And now I'm reasonably confident I can move up with my Stug. But again, he's kind of my trump card. He's like a... If you've played the 12th SS, this is kind of like almost a mini Firefly. It's not as expensive, it's maybe a little more versatile, but it's also not as powerful. Yet it still kind of occupies the same role in your deck as that really like super unit that has to get you through Phase A. And you can kind of tell from how I'm using it here. Like it has a Overwatch on the road. I'm backing it up, I'm not exposing him too much, and that's generally how you want to use that unit. You see the Scottish player here brought in his mortar. He's filling things in with like some AA, some machine gun. If you look, his forces here in the middle are actually still stronger than mine. I don't know if he realizes it yet, but he is going to start pushing up. Because like I said, I focused on taking this area, and now I'm reinforcing it with some more infantry, some Strasstruppen and some Panzer Grenadiers. Like I said, I'm going to focus mainly on my area, but there's definitely interesting stuff going on the flanks. See on the left here, Evil kind of pretty much secured this town, the midway point of his objective, so he's doing good here. Lumpy's advanced on a good position right there, but it's really hard to kind of close off this bulge, so we'll be interested to see what he does later in the game. And McMackey's more or less got the town, but he's definitely having a little bit of trouble against the 12th with their really strong fire support mortars and ranger teams. Did I say 12th? I meant 2nd Infantry. Okay. So, I have this machine gun here. He's kind of looking out over the plains around him, but this orchard or this farmland right next to him does kind of obstruct his vision going northeast, and that's a problem. I'm trying to get my infantry around into this building, and we'll talk about that little conflict in a second. There it is. The Scottish player brings up an AVRE. This is a Churchill AVRE. It's a 18 front armor, just monster of a fire support tank. Only has HE damage, but it's really obnoxious in this early phase because I just don't have anything that can penetrate it from the front. At this stage, I have to wait till at least Phase B. So that, of course, it's 160 points. It's a really meaty buy, but it's really obnoxious, and I have to put some thought into countering it. You see, he did move his rifles up here, and I want to kind of illustrate this battle a little bit. See, this is a 20-point rifle squad. It's beating my 30-point Panzer Grenadier squad. In part because the rifle leader's shooting at them. That doesn't help, but then again, it's only 2 rifles, so it's not a huge deal. What's really losing the game for me is that my squad has 2 machine guns, and you wouldn't know this from the unit card, but machine guns can't fire under 100-meter range. So obviously the guys in the building next to me are under that 100-meter range. So that's the 2 most potent guns in my squad, just not being called into play. Meanwhile, the rifle squad has 2 SMGs, which can only fire at 100 meters and below range. So his squad, though it's cheaper, it has the advantage of those 2 submachine guns. So at this particular range, in this particular engagement, this squad is dominating my more expensive squad just because I'm not using him in his most effective role. If I could have gotten him into these buildings without being contested, then maybe I would have had a lot better shot because I could fire from protection and use my 2 machine guns. but I got really unlucky that I got here at the same time as the Scottish players' rifles, and so these Panzer Grenadier are pretty much done for. Let's see. I do move my SPW 222 up to counter this Bren carrier. 221's a really interesting unit. It's like a really fast-firing, basically anti-tank rifle mounted on top of a armored car. I'm trying to kill that Bren carrier up there. I don't think I actually get it because it falls back. This thing's really inaccurate, but just doing my best. This is really a staple unit in Phase A for the 17th Panzer Grenadier. You just have to rely on it for its mobile tank killing potential to make up for other shortcomings in your deck. But this is what I really like to highlight. The AVRE's up here. It's this big 18 armored brick that I can't do anything to, really. I did call down my off map to try and kill this mortar. I don't think I actually kill it, but at least I made it go away for a while. So his AVRE's up here. You see I got my IG-18 firing at it. I got my Stug firing at it. I can't pen him with my Stug at that range, but at least I can hit him. At least I can do some morale damage. His AVRE doesn't have AP, so it's not likely to kill me either. So right now I'm just kind of trading with it. You see my shots are bouncing. I'm not really doing any damage. I'm just raising that red bar of morale. And that's where my armored car comes in here. You see I'm moving him up to the road. He's about to start fast moving. And you can probably already see what's about to happen as I make this AVRE a little more panicked, a little more panicked. I'm racing my armored car up to get it. Driver knocked out. He's going to start falling back. And I made him surrender. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a little bit cheesy, I have to admit, but on the other hand, I think he panic bought a Typhoon in his anger at losing that AVRE. But honestly, the AVRE is kind of a bullshit unit to be in Phase A2, so I didn't feel too guilty about it. That's really the only way you can deal with it, short of having an infantry squad sneak up next to it, shoot it in the side. You have to panic it, you have to either force it away or make it surrender, and that's what I did there. See my Stug still falling back. And he could have prevented that if he had a little bit of like supporting units around it, or a commander to prevent it from surrendering. But because the Scottish player had his, big armor unit on the field, he got a little bit overconfident there. I was able to exploit it. And I do remember in the game, the player was kind of surprised. He said, like, what? But, yeah. So that's a pretty big win for me as we go into Phase B, because I don't necessarily have to buy something to counter that, whereas if it had been alive, I would have probably immediately bought a really heavy anti-tank gun to try and crack it. And to be fair, the Scottish player isn't doing bad either, though. He's filling his lines with rifles. He has secured this farmhouse, which I need to push him out of. I'm actually going to go up one speed, just because, like I said, the game's kind of long. So right now, I'm in a good position, but I need to work on consolidating. I need to work on closing off this bulge. I need to, kind of shore up my front line. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I think, here we go. I call in a Kanonenvogel Stuka. This is a Stuka with 37mm cannons under the wings. I'm going to send it after that Honey Stewart right there. Because of where the Honey Stewart is, he's really hard for me to kill without exposing myself. So I decided to buy a Stuka with my kind of first tick of income from this round. I'm sending him in after the Honey Stewart, and I got him. IG-18 is killing the anti-tank gun, which I think was firing at my 221. And so that was a pretty big kill right there. And again, here comes the Typhoon, kind of a revenge kill, but the balance of points was still in my favor. See there, my off-map just killed his mortar, so he's starting to buy Bofors to counter that Stuka and kind of fill out his anti-air lineup. Let's see. So spoiler alert, we kind of win because we're ahead right now, and I don't think they ever take the lead again. But let's see. A little while later, he sends a typhoon like that, just like that, and he kills my Stug, which I wasn't too happy about. I was thinking that was the moment. So here I am pushing up. I'm in a reasonably good spot here because I know I just killed the Steward. I don't think he really has much in the way of armored things over here. So I have my Panzer Grenadier pushing up on foot, which is kind of, they're kind of vulnerable that way. But I do have the commander next to them. He's supporting them with his machine gun. The Scottish player brings up the Bren carrier, so I bring up my 221 to counter it, and I push it off. And as my Panzer Grenadier move up, I can kind of just support them with the machine gun fire here and suppress the guys in the woods. Again, these rifles only have one machine gun. Their specialty is really a little more close quarters. So in terms of advancing up to a wood line like this with my Panzer Grenadier, they're actually in a pretty good spot because they can use their machine guns, but the stuff up here isn't close enough to use their submachine guns. So as long as they're properly supported with the commander with supporting fire, they actually do pretty good. And I push them out of this area relatively bloodlessly. I think I make at least some of that surrender. But that's a big win for me too, because this little area here between where my cursor is moving is kind of the other important area of my map. You can secure this area, and then the area I was originally fighting over here. That's really the main responsibility of the position I went. And kind of a tertiary responsibility is just making sure nothing pushes through this gap between me and Lumpy, who it looks like is pretty much stolidly stalemated against. I mean, it's really hard to push up here, but his forces are pretty secure. And Evil's doing well over here too. He's still in the town. Remember the halfway point, something like right here. Although he did just lose his Firefly. I wonder what killed that. Probably the AT gun sitting right there. Now getting mortared as it so richly deserves. Let's see. I think I just used a Stuka to kill this tank right here. That was a Churchill pushing up. And let's see. Oh, I wanted to point out too. Look at this recon unit right here. It's literally just in the middle of this guy's lines. I mean, there's stuff driving by it, they don't see it. Obviously the guy, he has his weapons off, so he's not shooting at stuff to give away his position. This allows McMackey to get like really accurate fire in on this stuff. That's a little bullshit, to be honest. I think they need to work on how recon infantry is detected. Because this is pretty crazy. I mean, look how close these guys are to his guys. And, I mean, I know they're recon. I think they finally got seen by something. I'm not sure how they died. But that's a little too close. And there was a recon squad, like, right here. So, anyways, just something to note. Recon's really hard to see. And if somebody's, like, shelling your artillery really accurately, chances are there's something like that, where there's a recon like literally sitting next to your guys that you can't see. So it would pay to bring your own recon squad up and move it around to try and look for stuff. Speaking of that, let me see what I have a recon squad right here, and he can see this anti-tank gun, so I'm aware of it. Other than that, I can't really see too much in front of me. Look at how bare this area is, because all this guy's stuff is like kind of back here behind line of sight. See, if I could get a recon squad up here, I could see a lot more, but he can't go there. He'd get shot as soon as he breaks that cover. So that's kind of our own little stalemate, I guess. You see the Scots player is off-mapping me right now. It's making me fall back, but I only kind of have a weakly defended position on the front. It's more about the Stug and the Martyr 3 back here. See him artying his 6-pounder or anti-tank piece with my SK-18 howitzers. The SK-18s are a really strong part of this deck. Really important to get these out. I think I take 5 of them in my deck. And really strong, just remove that anti-tank gun. And let's see. Of course, the Scottish player's howitzering me back. But here's his push. You see, he's got his artillery observer back here, the Churchill. He's calling down Artie, plus from his howitzer. while he moves forward with his infantry. This is actually, I like the infantry push. Like, it's really good to have your stuff spaced out like that and kind of independently moving forward. His problem is he only has one officer. He should have an officer over here, and he should have tanks coming down here. Look at this. I'm smoking the ground in front of him, or behind him rather, specifically because I expect tanks to be rolling down here. You see, there is one coming now, but it's a little too late. So I'm smoking behind him to cut off his infantry, so my Stug and my 223 and everything can kind of roll up and start providing the fire support. See, I just killed his Bofors with my artillery. I have some anti-air pieces in the back too. Look, see, I'm very secure on this sector, and he's just pushing me right here right now, so I only really have to focus on this. Got a squad here giving good crossfire. Look at those sight lines like across the road, just to see, you know, down this area. Really good position. That's actually not mine, that's McMaggie's, but that's really good positioning for that squad. And I kind of bring my guys in. You see, these guys are just far enough away they can still fire their machine guns, so that's really... And these rifles can't use their submachine guns. This is like just an ideal engagement for my Panzer Grenadiers. They're just mopping the floor with those rifles, cutting them down. You see the rest of the Scottish support units are kind of stumbling through the smoke. He's trying to rush the 6-pounder up. He's trying to rush the Churchill up, but you know, he's running into artillery fire. So, on over here, looks like a Nebelwerfer rocket. A lot of rocketry on that side of the map. Luckily, we didn't have much of that over here. My SP-232 just lost his track, or rather had his engine destroyed, but that's okay because he was spotting for my Stug, and now he's kind of just a little turret sat there. Because of the engine destroyed, he can't move anymore, but he has good sight lines all around, and he has a pretty wide aura to provide help to whoever needs it. Yeah, so I pushed off that attack pretty well. Game's about over. Speed it up a little bit. Just until this blob of shit gets here. He's got 2 Churchills, some infantry. Again, it's kind of just like a... game's over, but it's just kind of like a push, a Hail Mary to maybe see if he can break through. He's got stuff kind of poking around the flank, but I had a Martyr and some guys sitting there ready to go, ready to block that, along with the 232. A lot of arty coming in, a lot of bombing and stuff. And it's actually a good spot. I got my Stug down. Whoa, look at that off map! Holy cow! That off map forced my 2 Stugs back, but I was kind of really in a position there, right at the end of the road, to fire down into his stuff. I think, as you can maybe see from all these craters here, I think off maps may be a little too abusable because you can fire it consecutively. Microing my Stugs back and forth. I don't know if you saw that, but I killed 2 tanks here and then retreated. Gonna make him come in before I dart my Stugs up forward. This is a perfect role for the Stugs. Because they don't have turrets, they can't quickly reacquire targets. For example, say you're poking up and something appears to your left, you can't really acquire that target quickly. You gotta rotate your whole body to face it first and then come to a stop. But with this, with my Stugs in a defensive position, I can kind of just wait and let him come to me without having to worry about that so much. And as a result, I kind of just have in a good position here to give fire down the road at these infantry. And of course, against the tanks I killed a minute ago. And one last poke up, I think. I kill something and lose something. Let's see. Stug comes up. It's a Challenger in the back. See, it's a really high-hitting 17 AP tank. Only 7 armor, but really heavy-hitting. So he did take out my Stug. He missed that shot, though, thankfully, and then I missed my shot. But because of my veterancy, I fire quicker, or my rate of fire is quicker, so even though he got the first shot originally, my second shot came at the same time as his, and I got the kill on the Challenger. So that was the end of the game. See, my score was pretty good, but as I always say, like, score doesn't matter. The kill death ratio in these games doesn't matter as much as the actual ground taken. But thankfully, we did really well on that too. You see, at no point was the other team in the lead because they have 0 points in the conquest points department. So yeah, that wasn't like just the best gameplay ever, but it's kind of I guess the point where the 17th kind of started to come together for me, and I appreciated it for that reason. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, there's going to be a link to the deck building video I did with my friend Lumpy on the 17th SS. I think is definitely worth taking a look at, and I think it explains some of my deck choices and the philosophy behind how I play this deck. So please check it out. As always, thanks for watching. Take care.